I'll call the meeting of the Salem County School Authority to order. It is Monday, July 26th, it's 5 p.m. and we're in the lower level of the pinball building. You all stand, salute the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open public meeting statement. Notice of this meeting has been provided to the public in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act by publication in the South Jersey Times, formerly the Sunbeam, I don't know why we put that there, and the Elmer Times newspaper circulated in Salem County by posting notice in the Salem County Clerk's Office. Copies of the board minutes and the video of this meeting are posted on the SCIANJ.com. I'll remind everyone that we're on video, and tomorrow or the next day you can watch it in 2 days. Fix to get that thing put on where we put it. So, it's funny, we're the only organization I know of in Salem County that films their meetings. Is that true? I've been asking around.
Routinely.
Huh?
The ones that do routinely every meeting.
Yeah, we're the only ones. Gloucester County, Camden County. I think one of these days will probably be required, more likely, hopefully. Okay, roll call, please.
John Amber.
Here.
Ron Howard.
Prayer.
Pete Burrows.
Here.
Bob Whittier.
Here.
Lee Snyder.
Lou Snyder indicated he was...
Traveling on business.
Okay, he did. Okay, we'll start out with the Solid Waste Division Manager's Report. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Minutes of the regular meeting and the executive session meeting. Any objections to taking them together? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve both.
So moved.
Move a second. Any questions on the minutes?
I have no idea how to turn it off, I'm sorry.
Take you out of
There's something on my phone and it talks to
right.
me and I don't know how to turn it off.
Okay.
So,
Coincide.
Do you want me to put it in the other room while you're in here?
Break it.
no questions? Move second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay. Now we'll go to the Solid Waste Division Manager's Report, which is behind tab 2.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, now I know you all looked at your charts. Don't be scared. Any changes up? But we had record rainfall last month, so that's understandable. Wish I could do something about the rain. Revenue is pretty much steady. Outside Salem County customers are down just slightly. We think that might have something to do with July 4th, because there was no trash pickup during that week. I really don't have anything substantial to bring to your attention unless you have a specific question. Yes, you saw on my report that Mike Hansen, our DEP inspector, was out again. Such a pleasure to have him with me. So he is coming every 30 days. His first list was 20 items he didn't like. The second list was 10, so I think next month it should be 5. Sounds good. We're working on some of those things to try to get those into his compliance. There's other things that we did discuss that we're going to go over again when he comes next month. Any questions from anyone?
Yes. Do we not charge interest on the overdue?
Yes, we do. Interestingly enough, how that works is when it gets to the final point, it stops. It only accrues interest from the beginning to the end of the 120 days. Not sure why that is, but I found that on the test customer. So I'm going to go and I'm going to check with PC Scales to find out how we can keep that accruing.
There was some, on the policy letter was 293.51. There was 242.39 like you had on this. Was that it? Was that the interest?
Yes, I would think that that's what that is. But it doesn't keep, once it gets to that 120 days, it stops. It doesn't keep accruing past that 120 days, which it should. Yeah, I found that on the test customer, when they did the test customer.
We used to get a list of everyone over 90 days.
That's on that first.
It's on your page, over 120.
Right, you could do that.
And you have your same customers.
Very first thing, me too.
do not understand the importance of paying so they don't get on the 120-day list. Because they
Oh,
pay
okay,
whatever
just
they
get a
pay,
list
they
for
don't
them,
pay
yeah,
by
okay.
invoice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so basically, it's negligible, or over
I think
120.
it's pretty minimal.
That's what I said, negligible.
Yeah, we have one customer who just doesn't understand they need to pay by invoice, and they pay whatever they want to pay, and it's not enough, so they're gonna always be on that list. Yeah, I've talked to them
Well,
every month, but other than that, no.
And when they pay, if they pay just a portion, it's off of the early balance.
So the latest balance, not the early balance, it goes to the farthest owed first.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So as a percentage of our revenue, it's not even a
Not
percent,
even 1%.
not even a, that's,
No,
that is not bad.
no,
Not bad, I like that, business like that.
And you're working out prices for the three-phase?
yes,
And
Had a discussion
Who's
with-
DCO Energetics?
they're our energy partner that runs the generator. And the cool thing is, they would like to take the energy from the generator right back to that location. So it's, to me, green energy, because it's not going to ACE first and then coming back. It's coming straight from the generator. But the field engineer has not been out yet to talk about that. Yeah, that's on the plan. So that might be pretty neat. And then if we need a second, like a blower to run the methane gas from the far end to the landfill over to the flare and the generator, that's gonna help that. Plus, there's piezometers on that side that we need to retrofit to the new data logger system, so we're looking at some solar, but we could possibly have power to those two on that location. So there's a couple of different things we can do with that three-phase.
Tell me about the cover versus, purchase cover and,
Slightly contaminated is down, because I can't take in any large jobs because I have no place to store it.
well, that's why I asked that question. We got to confront that issue.
I don't have any large jobs that have been approached to me
Yeah, but
recently.
here's the point. We've done it for 20 years. Okay, this guy,
15 maybe.
I'm sorry,
We haven't done it from the very
call
beginning.
me a liar.
I didn't say you were a liar.
No,
I just
no.
said we haven't done it from the very
I'm
beginning.
jesting. I understand.
Okay.
But the point is, we've been doing it for a good long time,
And
15
so
years.
has Burlington.
Okay,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden, this guy comes along and the law changes.
He just
So-
doesn't want me to store
I hear you.
outside of the landfill face,
I hear you.
which I checked with Burlington,
I hear you.
and they do not store outside
I
of the
don't care what
landfill
they do.
face.
I mean,
Okay.
So what is slightly contaminated?
That's the cover material that can come from a removal of an underground storage tank, remediation of a farmland, so on and so forth. It's not virgin material. It's not under contract
you
by
couldn't
virgin
build a
material.
house on it.
It's normally residential or below, non-detect a lot of times. Some of the non-detect, or the residential to non-residential material, we put right on the landfill, but all the parameters are followed from the analyticals that I require. Everything is checked. If it's not within those parameters, I don't accept it. And there's been a lot of jobs that I've turned away because it's not acceptable. We have more stringent requirements than Cumberland, especially on our arsenic. Ours are similar to some other counties, but ours are probably more strict than anybody else's. And we've been
And
doing
you
that.
all value your arsenic by GPS?
Arsenic?
Or no, that's
No, that's asbestos. Asbestos is GPS. Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is we should confront that issue, because this week it might not affect us, next week it might.
Well, I think our approach from Mr. Hanson, from conferring with some other facilities, is be responsive, not argumentative. And if there's issues that we feel, and there's a couple that are collecting, are worthy of a further discussion, it will be with his supervisor, not with him on site.
I understand, yeah, that's what I say,
And
confront
there's
the
a
issue.
couple of non-permit,
I'm not
Operating
not
issues.
taking material because of that. I just haven't had any large jobs come across my desk that I would even have to
Suppose
entertain.
you get a call tomorrow morning, then we can do it. Suppose you get a call
I'll deal
tomorrow
with it
morning.
when I get the call,
Okay.
yeah. And I don't approve anything before I see the analytical, so I don't want to put the cart before the horse. If a large job came across my desk, then I would look at it and consider it. But there are no large jobs that have come across my desk.
I understand that. But
Okay.
the point is, if a large job come across, then we have to confront the issue then, maybe
Yeah.
confront it a little earlier,
Yeah, we
so we
will.
don't lose the job. Because, you know, that material is two-way material. I will tell you, it's dollars in and saving dollars.
It's a lot of work. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so, all right, I think I'll keep that on the top burner and, don't let it get too old, but one of these days we're gonna lose a good job because of it. That's my opinion. Okay. No more
One
questions.
other thing, why, on this one, why is such a large disparity between the cover expense and the revenue?
Because the revenue for the slightly contaminated is way down.
That's all that?
Yeah, revenue is what we get paid for the slightly contaminated coming in, and the cover expense is what we pay for the virgin.
So you pay for the virgin?
Yes. Yeah,
You
we
get
used to
money
pay
for
for just virgin and not get any slightly contaminated at all.
And that's the purpose of that graph, and that's why I asked the question.
But it's,
Because I saw that, I go,
it's all about the jobs and availability and, you know,
It's happened.
that was in Maryland, that was a big Maryland job that came in.
When I saw that graph, I said, uh-oh, this guy causes some trouble, but apparently not.
No, it has nothing to do with him. It's the fact that there's been no large jobs that have been entertained to me. That large spike was in Maryland when they were doing the not the
Right.
turnpike, but 295 and the rest stops.
Good. Okay.
Mhm.
I just saw one. Getting coffee. Okay. Any other questions?
How's the young kid doing here? Not kid.
He's doing fine, hard head that he has. He's doing great.
He wasn't in the area require a hard hat, anything like that, or was required one?
Well, that's a very good point. He wasn't wearing one, no. Would it have helped? Imagine it would have. Yeah. We've since bought a new sledgehammer, and the second one also broke. We took that back, bought a third one, and taped up the handle with duct tape. Yeah. And the litter fence is now put up, so we're done with that job, thank heavens. But that's a good point. We'll make sure he wears a hard hat next time.
And that stands in.
He wasn't in the way.
He wasn't in the
Let
way.
me just assure you, he was not in the way of the sledgehammer.
Now they probably went up there and.
Yeah, up and calmed him right on the head. Yeah,
And hit him right in the back.
yeah. He's doing fine.
Okay, any other questions?
The good thing is an intern and not interred.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
One full hand loop, right? Okay, hearing no other questions, without objection, I'll order the report
Thank you.
filed. Received and filed. Without objection, so ordered. Okay, next item, engineer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The board members have our report of July 11th, and unless there's any questions, I don't have anything else to add.
Where are we on the tank?
Out the bid and a pre-bid conference scheduled for August 1st,
When we receiving bids?
August
11th.
6th,
11.
11th.
Okay. What do they run, in steel up, steel down?
Steel as in steel or still?
Steel price?
We'll see when they come in. Hopefully, we get the same prices we got a year or two ago, last time we put it out.
That's my point, is steel's down, right? The price of steel's down?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you.
Whatever,
I think it's more based on the overall construction activity.
yeah. That's true, yeah. Whatever. Okay, any questions of the engineer? Hearing none, without objection, I'll order the engineer report received and filed. Hearing no objections, so ordered. Resolution authorizing transfer of funds to the solid waste division budget. Okay, where we got? What do we got in line? Okay, consultant.
48.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pardon?
Would you like me to discuss that?
Yeah, right, yeah, that's what I said.
We do have a request for $25,000 transfer from our consultant's line item to audit and accounting. Two drivers of this is the accountant that will have decided to continue on staff in lieu of our finance officer, not having been replaced yet. We were also advised that the actuarial study that we did for the nursing home, retiree post retirement benefits, which was done in 2011, needs to be completed again in 2013, in anticipation of 2014, I think every 2 years. That was not anticipated because we are under 100 employees. We thought we only needed to do it every 3 years. So there's.
So we have to do the actuarial report every 2 years, they take into account who's,
Who's on the list and who's
whatever.
off the list, and what the different cost expectations are.
and,
How long? So we got people on the list?
yeah, 100 years. Well,
No,
20
not
years.
25.
Yeah, 20, 25 years.
They were young retirees.
Now, hold on. We split that with the county, that cost.
No, that original actuarial cost was paid for by us.
No, but the cost,
Oh, the expense
Yeah.
of health benefits, it's not split, it's paid 100% by the county.
or, that's what I mean, that's what I was going for.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there a second, any question on the motion? Any question? Made in second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Can't get out, so ordered.
All in number?
48.
Okay, that's 48, this is 49. This is a resolution to approve the bills for the solid waste division, total $309,279.63 in checks, $112,174.84 in electronic payments, and a manual check for $1,028.99. I believe that was for the state of New Jersey. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Move second, any questions on the bills? Move second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's take some economic development division manager's report. Jim?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have my report in front of you. The only update that we do have is the spring update on the strategic plan focus group meetings. We've held 2 of them so far. We've had very good turnout and also very good input and suggestions from the business people. And we have one scheduled for tomorrow evening. And there is, as of right now, there's 19 attendees that will be there. So it's a broad scope of everybody. It's a big business, hospital, college, farm, small business, self-employed. So we've had quite a good turnout from everybody.
This will be the third of 3,
This will be
right?
the third of 3, correct? Yeah, that's tomorrow night.
What would you say was the biggest thing that you took from these meetings so far?
I would say, as they say, there's a New Jersey standard of doing business. This is probably the biggest thing. Communication between the municipalities, between the county, the municipalities, to the improvement authority. People not knowing who the improvement authority was, and what the county and everybody is available, what they can do. So that's it. And communication is probably the biggest.
Okay.
Any other questions on the?
Any questions of the division manager? Hearing none, objection, order the report received and filed. Hearing no objections, so ordered. Okay, next.
Good job.
Consultants report.
Just been working with Jim and Debbie on the strategic plan. Went to the first 2 meetings, which were very enlightening. And to reiterate what Jim said, getting through the process of New Jersey planning boards, I think, was the biggest issue. Our competitiveness versus other states like South Carolina and Pennsylvania, how difficult it is to get something approved. And so a lot of good information. Hopefully we can put that in recommendation to our legislative leaders. That's the way to make New Jersey and Salem County more competitive. So I thought the first 2 sessions were great inputs, and another one tomorrow night with a big turnout at Dodgers Market, which I've never been to before, so looking forward to that. So I think as we get this input in, we'll begin to start really putting the plan together and start putting a draft out there to see some of the new ideas that we have, how we're going to fit into a strategy.
In the report that we finally come up with, the synopsis of these meetings will be in there.
Right. Well, we have all the information. We have sheets up on the wall, and we've written that all down. So we'll have summaries of all the 3 input meetings, but then try to, put those together in some kind of recommendations. The common themes that we're getting, I think that I want to make sure they're highlighted in the report, and it'll help develop our strategy too. Things are changing in the last 3 years. I think the economy is getting a little better, so people are a little more optimistic than last time I talked to them. We were really in a trough back then. People didn't know whether they're going to spend any money, whether they're going to be open next year. I think a little more optimism this time, so I think that the approach could be a little different.
You sense that from these meetings?
Yeah, I think people want to know about financing and help me get my permit, or whether I want to open up a Dunkin' Donuts or whatever it is. People want to expand and want to hire some more people, which is good. 3 years ago, it was a little different. People were very concerned.
And I think it's important that the participants, the county themselves, and the businesses see themselves and in the plan. It's not a plan that was written by somebody else without any input. And the themes are very common, whether they're small business, medium business, large business, and sometimes they're very actionable. We've got a pretty large player up at Gateway, and his issues regarding the town pool in Sound County transportation have persisted, and there have been different efforts to fix that or improve it, but they haven't been sustained, and it's still an issue. So those are the issues that if that one corporation is having. We heard it from the small business who might be looking to hire 10 people to the larger business that's looking to hire 100. So those themes are very important for us to pay attention to, because if we can't have a first-class town pool, if we can't get the training programs to bring our graduates, our current workers to today's standards, they won't be coming here. They'll be going where the labor's cheap, where there is no union, and where there's a trained workforce.
And speaking of where labor's cheaper, and the advent of the Chinese materials coming in, Berkowitz told us that our jobs in Philadelphia, New York, we're getting architectural glass from China. Cheaper than they can make it here in Salem County, and to ship it all the way from China. So that's their biggest threat right now.
I get 4 containers from China in a month now, and I got in years. A lot of food coming from China, a lot.
Debbie, is that county guy, Joyce, has he been coming to those? You might learn something.
All of the committee members, Economic Development Advisory Committee members have been invited.
They've all been invited.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a few.
And some of it.
A few of them have showed up.
Call Dodge and tell them to turn the air conditioner on now. Crank it up, get down to 60.
We've been through the first one
The first
without
one.
air
First one was a
conditioning.
little-
No air.
They had to run out and buy fans.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, without objection, I'll order the report received and filed. Hearing no objections, so ordered. Nursing Home Division, Economic Development Division bills, which is 4050. Okay, and now $4,988. Electronic payment, in checks, no electronic payments.
Motion approved.
Second.
Moving second, all, any question on the motion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? So ordered. Okay, now, Executive Committee report. We have the audit.
Bills for the nursing home.
Pardon?
Bills for the nursing home.
Oh, man.
You want to jump on
Mental,
it?
mental block there when it comes out nursing home. Yeah, where are they?
Tab 4. Here they are.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Okay, we have electronic payments for $15,887.13. Entertain a motion to pay that bill.
So moved.
Second.
Moving second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Moving second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And that's the count. That's the transfer.
Health.
Health.
Here. And we did receive payment from the county today. Thank you.
Okay. Executive Committee meeting. Here we go. That is our audit. We had a little question. One of our members, Bob Whitfield, wanted to have the auditor here. We never had the auditor before.
Oh, only last year is what you said.
Well, yeah,
Last year, one
normally,
they didn't have.
normally we didn't have, and I'll tell you the truth, did you go back and check? I don't think we actually did have them, at the meeting.
No, he came to a special meeting. We had a
Special
special
meeting.
meeting for the audit.
Right, because last year we had a bad audit, okay? This year, we had a good audit, and the audit, the year before was worse than last year, and last year was an improvement. Matter of fact, last year's audit, by the time the audit was done, we had most of it all cleared up. This audit has come through with none of the, I always get the nomenclature wrong.
Recommendations.
No recommendations, but some discussion items. With no recommendations, you don't have to have a plan to remedy them, although we've opted to have a plan anyway. Some discussion items, there might be their opinion we should do it, our opinion we shouldn't. It's not required that we follow that, but I think it's prudent to do it myself. I would like to be one step ahead of those birds, yeah. But, we've never done it, so we have to vote, in my opinion, we have to vote tonight whether to invite them to the next meeting for that purpose or not. Now, what I had suggested,
By who? By who?
this board has to vote.
Who do we got to invite?
If we want to invite the
Auditor?
auditor.
Oh,
Well, there was an email requesting opinion.
Well, yeah, but that's not a vote. I mean,
That's
that's
just to
a general concept, but we got to vote, and then on the record, who votes for it, who votes against it, and clear.
Well, you're already late with the audit, so to put it off another month would be a problem with it.
No, I don't think so. If we feel it's improper, why would you do something quicker if you're doing it wrong? I wouldn't recommend that. And I served on governmental bodies for close to 50 years. Sometimes, every year I've never not served 40-some years. And I don't ever recall having ordered a regular meeting. I could be wrong.
I don't recall ever not having one.
Really?
In 4 years.
Really?
Well, the big question is when you had the auditor, did anybody ask many questions?
Well, that's the idea. You ask questions and he explains what he's done
Well, let me
it
rephrase
doesn't
the
usually
question.
take much.
Did you have an audit that didn't have any findings, and then was there questions asked?
Well, we didn't have findings and he explains the process and how we're looking. It's just
Well, I mean, here's what I suggested. What I would suggest. We vote tonight, do we want to call them for next meeting? We could do that.
Is there a fee involved?
Pardon?
Is there a fee involved? What is that-
Certainly.
what would that fee be?
It's not in his original proposal to present to the board.
We never did it before.
Last February's,
Never did it before. To our knowledge, we can't go back and find.
Opening conference, exit conference. I mean, he'll
that's
have
in
the hourly rate.
last February's proposal. I didn't bring it with me.
But,
The exit conference.
but be that as it may, one way to solve it, okay? We can have him come over and sit with you, Bob, and ask him all the questions you want. Anybody else wants to come, as long as it's not three? If you want to bring three,
I had a
then
couple
the
questions, maybe you can answer them.
Pardon?
I had a couple questions, maybe you can answer them.
Might be able to.
There was the lease for this building. That's the first I've really seen how much it is.
I don't need the auditor to tell you that, that's $200-some thousand a year.
73, yes. And then there's, how is that a conduit loan? Is that one of the conduit leases?
What?
The one for the Fenlaw building?
No, we bonded as a conduit for this building, guaranteed by the city of Salem. That's separate from the lease that we have. That was not part of the bonding
The lease and the bond is separate,
transaction.
separate transactions.
Yeah, it looks like, I may be wrong, but it looks like it's $55,000 they paid for the bond.
On the principal. No. What page are you on?
Page 58.
58?
58.
Yeah, it's a condo bond, they
Yeah, these
pay
are the
us.
conduits. These are the schedules of the conduit debt obligations.
Okay.
but
So the
but
county's
we're
got
not-
some-
We're not guaranteeing it. It's the same as the county bond, same as the jail, Same with these bonds we just did with the county.
So they pay 55,000 on that bond? Or is that, am I misreading that somewhere? Who paid the 55,000?
Not
The
us.
city who guarantees the building.
And they get
The Finlaw State
250,000
Office
for
building
rent?
is what you're looking at there?
They get 250,000 for rent? And they pay 55?
Now, they get
That was a good deal,
250.
so whoever did that, that was a good deal.
That was a while back.
Yeah, it was 2009.
And that's an increasing debt schedule, so they have more every year to pay. And that's only, remember, is from
Yeah,
11
we
to
have more to
12.
pay too.
Yeah.
But the rent is a whole lot more now. That's just what we pay.
Yeah,
The county and state pays,
more than that?
oh, certainly, 5 times that.
You think?
I don't, there's a lot more, I don't know exactly what it is, a lot more. But we only have a small portion of the, we pay the same rate as the state, actually, I think we pay a lesser rate though, than the state.
Per square footage now.
Yeah, per share.
They get a volume.
They got the same rate? Same
Yeah.
rate per square foot?
No, they have a lower rate per square foot.
And when does,
Only worked at one time at lowest rate.
To modify the lease.
Right,
yes.
I understand all that.
And making no progress with them.
that's a condition of the bond that,
No, it's not a condition of the bond.
I think it is, that the authority contributes so much.
No, it's not a condition of the bond. What they did is they floated the bond on the basis of the revenue, okay? And it was guaranteed by the city of Salem. So if they don't realize enough money to pay the bond, then the city of Salem makes up the deficit, okay? Okay, they were having trouble meeting their bond obligation. We took over management, didn't take over management, we took over assisting to manage the building for 2 years, 2 years?
18 months.
18 months.
18 months, okay. And we got it so that it was at least coming close to making us bonded, enough revenue to cover its bonds, okay? Some of the things that were happening were, for example, they had a cleaning service was, I think, charging $120,000 a year. We got it for $35,000. I mean, don't quote me to the penny, but in that wrong with things. The maintenance contracts were, they had maintenance contracts, they didn't enforce them. The guarantees in the elevators were not enforced. It was just a mess. We got it all back together, turned it over to them, and it seems to be working fairly well now, right?
Pretty well.
They're making their
Debt service payment.
their debt service payment, okay? Before we got involved, they were not. Or, well, I'll take it back.
4 debt service payments.
Yeah. They were touch and go. And I think the city, I don't think has had to kick in, I don't know that for a fact. But,
Not for those 4 periods.
right, yeah.
No. And they're getting ready to make their next one.
Next one is August,
Yeah.
right? That's the biggest bond payment, so I don't know where they are at this point, John.
But it's not our problem, as long as we, if there is a shortfall, we'll taxes pay, yeah. But be as it may. So I guess the first question is, do we want to call the auditor in for a meeting with the entire board, and that would have to be at our next meeting on from that?
Well, you would need a motion for that.
Yeah,
Okay. Bob?
there's no motion, so it's done. Bob, would you like to make an appointment with the auditor to,
I think you ought to make a point of having them present to the board every year, that's all. Yeah, they're pulling $80,000 extra to paying, they ought to be able to
Okay.
have a meeting.
So let's get down to the audit. Tell us about not the findings, the
Discussion item.
discussion points.
Sure. The discussion items, and it is notable that you've had no findings and recommendations this year. Staff has done an outstanding job. As Chairman Number pointed out, we do take the discussion items and observations very seriously, because if they are left to be ignored, then they could easily turn into a finding or recommendation for the following year. And there are indications of, some irregularities that they weren't corrected. We did prepare a full corrective action plan, which is in your packet, page 8, tab 8, I'm sorry. And I want to just go through them just real briefly, so you're very aware of what ones are basically closed and what ones still remain open and active. It is behind tab 8, it is after the audit, so there's quite a few pages of audit there for you. And you do have a resolution to accept this corrective action plan later. The first,
How deep is it?
it's about 3/4 of the way. If you go to the orange page, it's right before the orange page. The first discussion and observation was that some of the disbursements in one division were paid by the bank account of another, and some receipts of one division were deposited into accounts of another. We have that situation occurring for a couple different reasons. It will continue, and the auditor does recognize that it will continue, because the Salem County Improvement Authority is no longer deriving revenue from the nursing home division, and therefore, in order to make these advance payments to the state for the health benefits for the nursing home, we have to pay that out of our solid waste operating account.
Because we're not getting the money put out from the county?
Right, so we're basically fronting that money out of solid waste, and when we get that money back, we're depositing it through the nursing home back to solid waste. We have to do it that way. It's the right way to do accounting. We've been through this with our accountants, and that's just going to happen.
Again, from the county.
We also noted that there was a few interfunds going back and forth between nursing home and solid waste. Again, that was the unemployment account, where we had a late filer for unemployment arrive after we had closed the unemployment account. So again, we had to basically front that money out of the nursing home operating through solid waste, pay it online through the state, and so forth and so on. But we're very cognizant of that. We don't do that as a normal course of action. The employee unemployment withholdings need to be deposited into the trust bank account. Typically, the Improvement Authority had done that on an annual basis. In meeting with our auditors and our accountants, we've decided to do that on a quarterly basis, so that those funds actually get transferred. They're in payroll, they're all accounted for in the general ledger, but now they're just going to be transferred on a quarterly basis for payroll.
So that one lays up.
And that's going on,
Yeah.
yeah. The 1099s not being issued to corporate vendors who receive payments in excess of $600. This is something that was completely overlooked by everybody, including myself. Typically, they're done at the same time of the year as the W-2s are issued, and the 1099s for 13 have been prepared and submitted now. We have calendared them in finance and on my calendars to be done exactly with the W-2s.
Not everything over $600?
Anything over 600 for a vendor.
Not for corporations,
Right, no, for an individual vendor.
individuals.
Like if gas mileage gets over that, you get a 1099 on that?
Yeah, they'd be a vendor.
It's not a
But
it's a type of
individual.
I
1099.
have to pay taxes on that.
Yeah.
It's a type of
Although
1099, right?
It's a 1099.
we've been through that with like Lynn Schmidt, who received the car, as a use, and
Well, he's taxed for that. That wouldn't be the 1099, but the gas mileage things that accrue over 600, you have to do them, so they would have
is a
to know
vendor.
that they would pay taxes on
Well,
it.
Yeah.
maybe a vendor.
Anybody that's in our accounting system is a payable, which would be an employee, expense account, not the payroll. You'll have our attorneys, you'll have the auditors, anybody in that situation.
But you're saying he would get a 1099 for gas?
If I went over 600?
If they're,
That's for our use though.
Should be reimbursed.
Oh, yeah, there you go. It's a 1099 dash something, right?
Miscellaneous.
Shouldn't be getting one at all. I mean, that's.
Yeah, it's a 1099 dash. I give mine,
The
please.
gas is for his use, that's for our use. So
I understand, but no problem. You claim it on your taxes, then you show the expense. So let's assume you got $601.
Well, I think the IRS at 55 cents a mile or whatever.
Well, is it automatic,
includes taxes, it's got it back.
It's fully loaded with insurance.
But you claim it, say $601, let's say that, and you put in
Well, if he's
10,000 miles, you over expended more than you got, so.
That's if he's going long form. If he's going short form, he can't do it.
Yeah, you can.
It's not on short form.
I think it is. Maybe not, I don't know, that's their business. But
That's why
I've
we
been
encourage
through
the
it.
use
I
of
know you got to do
SCIA
it.
vehicle in as much as possible.
Right.
I give
So there was
one allowances.
just to back up on the 0403C. The corrective action plan is SCIA anticipates hiring a finance officer.
Yes, that's been out there for a while.
Did that make your report?
I haven't made my report yet.
It's in personnel.
It's in the personnel area, but we haven't got to it.
Yeah.
On 604, the accounts payable and encumbrance listing containing numerous purchase orders from the prior year. In our accounting system, we, unlike other public entities, must either receive or cancel all purchase orders that are still open at the end of the year as opposed to roll them over. And we did have some at the end of the year which had rolled over, they were still nursing home accounts. So at the end of each year now, we're going to be canceling any still remaining open purchase orders. Basically in October, we have our financial system limiting the requisitions and purchases that will occur between October 1st and December 31st to give time for receipt of that material. If the material, for whatever reason, is not received by December 31st, we will cancel the PO and have to issue a new one in the coming year. And that also relays over into an accounting issue, which is later in the report. The auditor tested 2 of 42 disbursements that were not listed in the minutes as having been approved by this board. They did occur at a time when our treasurer was out on leave, and they were 2 electronic payments to the state for health benefits. So that's now been remediated because we do everything through a formal purchase order, even if it's electronic payment. There's a document that goes to our accounts receivable system. It gets a number. That number then appears on your bill list. In the past, you basically had manual lists of purchases.
So the treasurer was out,
The treasurer was out.
so it was a problem, and the one before, the finance officer wasn't in, so that was a problem.
Well, we haven't had a
Was
finance
it
officer in
staffing
12.
problems?
Yeah. When we had somebody out.
Nobody covers?
We never had a lot of, that for cross-training. There was never any cross-training with our treasurer.
She went out unexpectedly.
Yeah, she just didn't come back to work every Friday.
Disappeared.
Oh, that was the lady.
Disappeared.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yes, we've made
She just
a
got hired.
point to
She
start
was just
cross-training
hired.
over here.
Yeah.
The certificates of availability of funds were not completed for professional service contracts and 1 state contract. This is an auditor's recommendation, and we've been through accountants and auditors on this. It is their opinion that they be done for state contracts and professional opinions, professional service providers. It is not a requirement per the state. However, the beginning of this year, we've decided just to consent to their recommendation and do a certificate of availability of funds. It is a little bit different than the certificate of availability funds for a specific contract that you award, like a piece of equipment purchase or a tank, because you are basing that on a not to exceed price and an hourly rate. So just be aware of that.
Well, the problem with doing that is the following year, they're gonna have to dig deeper to find something else. You should just leave them something, some crumbs to pick up to put down. 'Cause
They
they're
don't like
gonna
repeats.
justify their.
They'll find something new.
They'll find something.
They gotta do their job. 613, the minor differences noted in the calculation of taxable tonnage. This is one that we have been chasing for the past 2 years. If you remember last year, we had a major computer reprogramming with PC scales, and it was noted that these were very minor taxable tonnage variations, but that they still could not reconcile that tonnage down to the ton. What we were able to determine is there was one report that was being run on a day different than all of the other reports. So right now, we have one individual of this organization running every report from the PC Scales program on the first operating business day of the month following the end of the month. And everything, since we've been doing that, has reconciled down to the T. If you run a report on a different day, there's a chance you could have a canceled ticket, a rejected ticket or something like that, and that will throw your tonnage off. So we have modified that reporting process, and we also have that individual very cognizant of when those reports are being run.
Are the people around that, his or her, that person that covers him or her when they're off on the first of the month?
Yes.
Or that'll be another one?
We have multiple
Staffing
people who can
problem.
run the reports.
Okay.
They're running them in batches now.
And they'll all be on the first, whether they're, that
The
person
first
is-
business day of the month following the close.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not the first of the
So
month.
it's not all
the
tied
first.
to this one person that you
Correct,
just talked about training?
yeah. The way it used to be done here, Bob, there was a distributed report, so Michelle Gamber prepares one report, Mary Ann prepares another report, Lisa prepares another report, so they were running their own reports, not cognizant of how they tied in together. And now we have one person running the reports for everybody.
That makes sense, it just, need to make sure everybody knows that.
Well, all of these discussion items have been shared in staff meetings with all of my direct reports. The discussion on observation 800, review the check register, revealed late fees that were paid for health insurance and premium, pension payments. We have implemented cross-training to prevent this from happening. This was again when we had the treasurer that was out. And we now have the state system that allows us to queue in payments online up to 30 days in advance. Before, when this board approved a payment, if it was not made on the day before it was due, it was considered late, and you only could get it in the day before it was due. Now the state system's been reprogrammed, so you can basically schedule those payments up to 30 days in advance.
And it says Human Resources has calendared all payment due dates. When is she off?
Oh, don't worry, I know how to do it. And we're starting cross-training with her already. That's already been done for 3 weeks. Discussion observation 904, the engineering expense associated with the capital project plan were not separated. We reported in the budget. We've actually had a pre-planning meeting with the engineers now, and Melinda does review on a quarterly basis with them. All of the bills for those capital projects are now being coded into our capital project list. So we don't have to separate those invoices out onto the different projects. And the capital plan for 2014 now contains a specific engineering line item for every project, as opposed to just capital projects for engineering. Okay. Discussion observation TB01D, the miscellaneous revenue that was reported into the accounting system, not always fully detailed with the descriptions. Our mantra right now is we should have very little, if any, miscellaneous revenue. Everything has been broken out into our revenue stream that we expect to get on a reoccurring basis. If anything does come in that's a miscellaneous item of revenue, and we did just get one the other day, I actually will code that with Mary Ann, so we have a full description that will be acceptable to the auditors. Discussion and observation TB01E, 2E, and 3E. The prior year encumbrances were being added to the prior budget, such that the budget accounts appeared to be larger than what they were adopted to. This is a function of our Edmunds accounting system. Anything that is left open in that purchase order status or contracts that are left open, we'll carry those balances forward. In the authority accounting, you are not permitted to do that. So we have gone in manually and adjusted each of those line items from the 2012 to 2013 budget. And that's indeed why we will be canceling all open purchase orders at the end of every year, so they do not carry forward those balances. We have been through that with Edmunds to see if there's a programming way to deal with this. That is how their program is designed. It is set up for municipalities and counties where these carryovers are permitted. The authorities just have to know you got to close everything out at the end of the year or adjust your account balances.
Did you always use Edmunds?
We've always used Edmunds probably since the 90s. Yeah.
It's never been friendly to authorities.
You know. And then the last observation was that the budget amendment wasn't completed for the capital expenditure in the capital plan for last year. That dealt with the Gateway Business Park, Gateway Boulevard paving project, which when we were here in 11 was not an anticipated capital project, but it was something that the County of Salem requested that the Improvement Authority complete and do. And we did, at the end of the year, go ahead and amend the capital budget to include that project. Okay, so we just, during the year, if projects come up and they're not planned for in the budget, we've got to do that amendment earlier.
Okay. Any questions on anything that the executive director?
I'd just like to say thank you to her and her staff, that's wonderful. Well, you did a great job on not only not having any findings, but addressing all this little stuff.
Any other comments? One thing I like to do as part of the corrective action, let me tell you, some of these things are going to happen through the year. No question about that. They should be brought to the board when they happen. For example, last week, we did it again. You know what I mean? It was 26 cents deposited in the miscellaneous account, and it should have been in the other account. Sorry. But if we would, so that we know along the line we're doing good or we're doing bad. Hopefully, we won't do anything. It's hard for me to believe it doesn't happen a little bit.
I'll include that as part of my monthly report if there's any variances.
That would be good. And let's assume that you discover something in the middle of the year that you say, you know something, this is going to be something on the audit. I know, I see it coming. I know it's coming. I used to do this, but you think, oh man, okay, it'd be good to have a report saying, we did something, wasn't right, we corrected it, and report here, and expect to see it on the audit.
And these are minor findings.
Yeah, they're very minor. The year before that, it scared the findings we had, or the. So, yeah, so I can say for myself, having lived through some of this stuff, that it's real nice to be able to sit here and grab people by the throat and threaten them behind the heart.
How long have you been on this board?
Since its inception. Which, how long? 7 years? 8 years? I was the first,
The
I was.
combined board, right?
Huh?
The combined board.
Oh,
from
no,
SCIA.
I'm sorry. The combined board, I was on the improvement authority. Well, I had a full term and then another, 2 full terms, I guess, right? Yeah. 12 years. Oh, that's scary.
So you've seen it all?
Well, the first few years we didn't do it. All we did, let me tell you the story. Very interesting.
Reader's Digest.
Reader's Digest version. I went to the meeting and I'm the first, I don't know nobody there. There were these guys, who were those people? Guy named Dyer, I think, was on there. So I go to the meeting and what's the name was the attorney? Guy from Woodstown, Rosenberg. So they told me, they said, we only have 2 meetings a year. I said, really? Yeah, because we have to pay the bonds. And we only have one action, which is the bonds from the jail. He said, the one meeting is at the Riverview Inn at around Christmas time. And we have it at the Riverview Inn. That's the meeting. And I said, well, when's the other meeting? It's in July. That's a good review in too. Yeah, we kidding me. I said, when does the public set? Yeah, oh, it's not really public. I said, count me out. I said, well, who pays for dinner? Oh, the authority pays for dinner. Okay? I couldn't believe it. That's true. It was true. And I said to myself, well, count me out. I'll be at the meeting, but I'm not going to be having no dinner, that's for sure. And well, they didn't have it because I guess we better not have it. So that was true. And but we only had, I think we had 3 meetings that year. And then the next year, we got more active. That's true.
Very good.
Any more questions of the executive director concerning the audit? One of the things we have to do is sign a document that we have reviewed it as required by the state, and we have seen it and reviewed it. I think this, as far as I'm concerned, is a review. You don't have to have a meeting for a review. You can review it yourself. Bedtime reading. This is what I did with it. So, with that, I'll entertain a motion to.
Not yet. Well, I guess you could. You want to go to new business?
Well, no, I want to entertain a motion just to receive your,
Just that report? Okay.
just the corrective
Just
action.
okay.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Hold on a second. It should be that we're not just receiving
There's a
it.
resolution.
There
There is a resolution,
Oh,
that's
okay,
why we-
okay.
yeah.
then- Okay,
All right.
okay. With-
There's a resolution in tab 8,
For the,
after the audit.
for the action report?
correct.
Oh, okay, good, all right, I didn't realize you had it.
Yeah.
Okay, then we're in shape. Okay, what's next then?
Resolution.
Yeah, anything else from the standing committees?
Okay, so we're gonna skip over that. Okay, Personnel Committee, what are we doing there? We're talking about the landfill supervisor position that's been posted, as I understand it. Safety manual updated, apropos.
Yeah, we have an older manual from 2009 that really requires updating. We'd like to take advantage and get that done before Lynn leaves.
Yeah, before somebody hits their head with a hammer.
No, they're not. Never mind, I'm not gonna touch that one. And there's one other point just to bring to the board's attention to you. I'll have a report. But the Deferred Contribution Retirement Plan, which is called a DCRAP plan, which is new to the Improvement Authority. It's something the state has created for the part-time employees that are not PERS eligible, and of which we have 2 out of the solid waste. The employee contributes 5.5% of their gross payroll to that plan, and it's kind of a self-funded retirement plan, but the Improvement Authority must match 3% of that. And I know that's kind of...
We're obligated to do that?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. It's different from our pension plan. They put that into effect back in 2010. And we're just now having the employees, enter into the plan because...
So, an employee who is not eligible for PERS, PRS,
which is usually...
comes to us and says, I'd like to I'd like,
No, they must be in the plan. It's
Oh, they
mandatory.
must.
It is not an option for the employees.
You don't tell.
Yep.
Force them to be in the plan, huh?
Yep, it forces them to be in the plan. Yep.
so we have somebody making $1,000 a year cutting grass.
Yeah, there's a financial threshold. No, it's usually gonna be somebody part-time because a full-time employee will be eligible for the PERS system. So these are people who don't qualify for that state pension plan. So if
What's
you're
PERS
gonna
now,
be
15,000?
15,000.
15?
14,990.
Yes, I was in that range, yeah.
Yeah,
So if somebody makes 13 or whatever,
yeah.
comes under this plan.
And I believe
So this is
the threshold
PERS
is,
Part 2, I guess.
it's the alternate, they call it the alternative plan. It's a forced retirement plan. It's 100%, given to the employee at the time.
So how many employees do we have?
2.
And what's that gonna cost us
We're doing calculation right now, probably about $400.
a year? Not monumental, but.
No, but it is something.
Well, if they were in the pension system, regular pension, you still pay that.
Oh, yeah,
much.
if they're in the pension system, we pay ours 6.78%, so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's cheaper. Whatever.
So I did want to point that out to you guys.
Okay,
Well, there was, in the safety program, TPT risk management report is complete.
Yes,
Now, my first meeting, he, if I'm not mistaken, declined to be involved.
right, that was last year's report. We have the report of risk management from last year. We're
Formulating
taking,
action plan for the 2014 budget.
yes, and we have items that have not been completed for that risk management site visit because of budgeting purposes. So we're taking that along with our safety plan and putting that into the 2014 action plan.
So who's doing that?
We're doing most of it internally. The only remaining item that we have from the Excel audit is really our hearing conservation program and the testing for the employees. The one for the TPG program requires or recommended some additional alarming on this back door, some additional cage protection on our records retention area, and some additional security stuff out at the landfill. But the interns are doing all the inventorying right now. We've not contracted any of that work out.
and so the report was done last year in the fiscal 12, and we're implementing it in fiscal 14.
13 and 14.
I'm sorry. The report was done in 12, we're implementing in 13 and 14. So there's no expenditure. Well, no
Wait,
outside expenditure.
There was nothing done in 2013?
We're doing some of the work internally. We're doing the
But the
internal,
TPG thing,
yeah.
this is his letter saying he doesn't want to take that position.
No, our intern is doing the.
Okay. Well, you have
equipment
TPG,
employees.
that's why. If TPG completed it, it shouldn't, it should say TPG completed it, that's like it does.
It says the risk management report was complete.
TPG risk management report complete.
Okay, so where are we at? So personnel committee, the only thing hanging out there is the supervisor's position, and also where are we with the financial?
Financial officer is just posted on our website. We've not engaged, the $2,000 plus search fee for that. We've not received any recent applications for that. We did receive 2. We interviewed 1. The person declined given the location. They were from out of county, and the other one was not interviewed.
Yeah. So basically, as I understand it, our strategy is to get some applicants, see what kind of money they gotta get, and then decide what level of person we're gonna hire and what level of outside professional help we will use for the year, which
And
so far has worked well as far as the dividends. The clean audit has worked well. But I can say this, I believe that person helped us get organized better, and we probably won't need as much in the coming year, as many hours in the coming year as we did in the previous
that's
year.
true.
Now, the fee accountant, you have one on staff, is that, you want to just change that to full-time? Or?
No, the fee accountant basically filled the gap. What we decided to do is, we didn't want to bring another finance officer in here to set up their own way of doing business while we were trying to get things set up and organized for our audit. So we have the systems, the accounting system is set up the way it needs to be set up now. All the files are set up the way it is. We're ready to go ahead and move forward on a full-time finance officer, somebody who will actually sit here to do the work on a day-to-day basis, and then just be overseen, quality control, overseen by the fee accountant. Right now, the fee accountant is the one who is doing basically the work. They're not here every day. They're here maybe a day a week, sometimes 2 days a week, depending on what the need is.
Yeah, that's why I said our strategy is to interview people, see what quality of person we can get for how much, then determine how much fee accountant aid we would need.
So you would keep the part-time fee accountant also?
Perhaps.
To a lesser
I don't think that we're there yet. Seems to
Depends on the
me,
person, but
to get a full-time financial officer could be in the high numbers, okay? Maybe a better strategy is to get someone in the lower numbers, a bookkeeper, and keep the fee accountant and have a combination thereof and see what kind of money you can get the job done for it. I mean, that's the way I look at it. And again, until we get the applicants to see
Your skill level.
their skill level and their dollar requirement, I don't think we can make that decision, in my opinion.
I agree.
And once we see that, then we can say,
You budgeted a figure for that?
we pegged the salary at about 50,000, but we know what we're gonna get for that.
well, that's the point, okay? But maybe that's,
Well, 50 for the year is good, because you're not hiring until August.
no, 50 for the entire year.
But you budgeted 50.
Yeah,
Salary.
I don't see paying no 50,000 a year for somebody who doesn't do that much, in my opinion.
Well, if they're not doing that much, I don't need them.
That's the point. So we gotta see what we can get,
When I was recommending.
see what we can get for the
Finance.
the outside accountant, and we'll make that decision.
Was one of the recommendations.
Yeah.
They're gonna see stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so without any objection, we receive the personnel committee report.
Who's on that committee?
Ron.
Ron.
Okay, economic development committee, they were the meetings held,
For the strategic plan.
strategic planning meetings. We are customer was floating around for industrial park is floated away maybe, but who knows, we're trying to keep them in the, but one of the problems arises, I'm gonna tell you, skilled people. Very difficult. The guy you gotta talk to about it is the last guy. He's done a heck of a job getting skilled people. People wanna come in, it's hard work out there. They pay good, relatively good, and they can't get the skilled people. So that's, and we'll see what our report says, but I'm willing to bet that that's gonna be one of the big problems. Okay, solid waste committee, report from solid waste committee.
Yeah, we were talking about how much that TOR probably saves us a lot of money that we got on landfill before all this rain that we got. That was one thing. I mean, we wouldn't have been able to handle the leachate if that TOR wasn't on that all day.
It would have been a 24-hour operation.
We'd have been paying big bucks.
I'd like to quantify that.
Okay.
Engineer?
I'd like to quantify that.
Okay.
There's no way
We'll
that
do a
you
square
can come up
foot
with
per
it.
inch per hour.
Well, there is. The problem is you now have the new cell open, which is generating a lot of leachate, and they all flow into the same tank now.
That's curveball.
But it could be done. You know, with relative accuracy.
It definitely paid for itself probably 2 times over.
Well, I hear you, and I
Not only leachate, but what it's saving you and redoing slopes after
Oh, right, yeah.
bad rainfalls and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
we always had the, I call them the gutters. I mean, they're not them anymore.
Then we discussed the DEP site manager's little rough and trying to get along with him and feel our way through that. And I think we got a good handle on that. And then our water quality control guy, he's a great guy, loves us, says we're doing a good job, right?
Yeah.
And
They don't charge us for coming from having.
Then our air quality control from the DEP's missing in action. She'll be around sometime.
Busy.
Well, don't call her up.
That's
No. We're smelling very good where we're at. And
Literally, right?
we got the new equipment we're working with. We got some new equipment that we spec. A lot going on, and everything's going good.
Okay, any questions from the solid waste, solid waste committee? No, I'll take them all together. Innovation and technology, I think we're getting,
Yeah, I can give you a quick update on that. We did have a meeting on July 15th with Lou. And good news to report, on Thursday, we ran a test of all the new equipment, and everything worked beautifully through the Sound Community Colleges network. We had no problems. We expected to be out for about 2 hours, and it was a little less than an hour for them to do that. We have some last minute 3 items that still need to be completed. We're waiting on a backup storage device so we can back up the system before we move it all over to the new equipment. And that will be our new backup on an ongoing basis. We also are awaiting the transfer of the SCIA from the Reggie Scott company over to Kate Cherry. And I think as of today, I have to check because I saw an email come in, the last item, which was just a set of cables that we needed, that we borrowed from the county, thank you very much, during the testing, was ordered and needed to be in. So we're very close to doing our final cut over. There is going to be about a 2-day period, very short actual outage for us to cut over, but a 2-day period where we're going to be in pretty heavy duty test mode while we put everything back together. So we will be sure to advise the board, as I did before on email, of when that happens. And we are in touch with the county, so you'll know when you can unplug everything.
okay. So that is the last of our, okay.
There's something on the website. The redesign evaluation complete by South Jersey News?
Yeah, they've done some free, I guess, for all the businesses in the county, some free website evaluations, and they've come out and met with everybody about how to optimize website usage. So we were happy to meet with them and get some recommendations, and actually one of our interns that's here working with Jim And I will be getting together to go over some of the changes that we should make. And they're basically design layout, how to increase foot traffic, and usability of the information that's on our website.
Not commercial. I don't look at their website as something that's a model, the South Jersey News website. But we don't own the domain name either?
No, the county acquired that. So and they outsourced it to a third-party vendor. So we are now, we own everything else. We own .org, .net, .info, everything like that. We just don't own the .com. And don't worry, Reggie Scott is happy to give it back to us.
I just got it.
Yes. And I believe that's who the county was owned by at the time too.
Okay, so we heard all these reports without objection on received and filed. Here no objection is so ordered. Executive Director's report, which is behind 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just go through a couple other things here real quick. The nursing home, the status really has not changed anything from the last month's report. The last remittance we got from the Medicaid was on 9/19, and I have completed my internal accounting review, and I do have the accountant looking over the numbers relative to the private patients, and that will be on the agenda for next month, so we can discharge those obligations. We have now received pretty much payment from anything that we can anticipate having received, and it's time to move these off the books. You've received everything on the solid waste division, so I'll dispense with any repeat of that. And then if you go down to economic development, we did complete a preliminary sale of the bonds for the county correctional facility. These are the revenue bonds that we're refunding. The summary of that transaction, it's a $5.6 million deal. And we do have some key dates that'll take us through the final closing and the delivery of the bonds for July 31st. That transaction, and you do have a copy of a summary of the transaction in your packet, did yield an interest cost of 1.437%. The gross savings on that deal was $218,000, with a present value savings of $213,000. The cost of issuance was originally pegged about $150,000, and it's down to about $122,000 now. So those documents were here today for early execution. There are a number of day-by-day steps that we're going through in finalizing those and communicating back and forth to the county and their professionals regarding that. You basically have maturities in 2014, 15, 16, and 17. And it's a pretty equal principal amount, about $1.4 million for each of those years. The interest rate in 2014 is 2%, not great, but it's the market what it is now. But in 15, 16, and 17, it looks to be about 4%, which is pretty good. And then we've got your yields here as well. So we look forward to giving this information to the county and giving them some money to work with.
Great job.
The regional sewer project, there's been no further action from the work group since the last report. The project engineers, which is Federici and Akins, though, have requested a pre-op meeting with the DEP, and the only purpose for that is to help identify some potential wetlands permitting issues that may occur. If you recall, a couple months ago, I told you that during the pre-leaf season, they were going to do a flyover of what would be the planned route of that regional sewer project. And of course, as we all know, in South Jersey, between Gloucester and Salem, there's a fair amount of wetlands that they're going to have to deal with in doing that project. So the purpose of the meeting, just with the engineers and the DEP, is just to discuss what some of those pre-permitting issues might be.
Yeah, what's driving that regional sewer project? Doesn't seem like it's an advantage for Salem.
Well, economically, right now, it's not an advantage really for either county. We do have
Well, Gloucester has treatment plants that they can eliminate and just take the pump over.
As does Salem. As may Salem.
Like Carney's Point.
Woodstown. Yeah, I hate to tell you.
We got the
Woodstown,
big
but-
facility there too that's not being used.
But for them to approve a sewer line through preserved farmland,
We're not, who said preserve farmland?
you have to go by preserved farmland.
You pump,
That's always been a difficult thing to get.
well,
You'd have to have dedicated lines that it's only for certain
exactly.
uses.
By the way, it so happens that they happen to be force mains. Now, not that you couldn't slip in, but force mains are very difficult. And
Well,
the
they
state,
they have to be restricted.
the state says that if those lines are dedicated for that purpose, they can't be entered. That's not to stop a judge from doing it. That's the real problem.
Callaway and Quinton was the same way.
It's gonna be up to each
Yeah,
municipality
well,
to decide.
what happens, what has happened in the past, the municipality says, we're going to send sewage to this area here only, it's not going to serve the farmland. You put the line in, somebody goes to court, and the judge says, it's right there, it's public domain, put it in. It's a simple part of it. Now, if you can do that, if the state will hold their end up and allow those lines to be put there and not entered, it would work.
Yeah, they've done it in Cumberland.
Huh?
They've upheld it in Cumberland.
They have?
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah,
followed,
two of them.
I haven't followed but they said they would, the state would, because really the state controls who can win now, or under the new plan. I mean, years ago, the state didn't control it. They'd have more control than they ever had. But whatever, that's, I don't think maybe you gotta worry about that.
Moving on with the report then, under admin and personnel, the budget for 2014, we've started our internal training. For that, this Thursday, our staff will be kicking off that process. We do have an early indication from the State Health Benefit Plan Commission that met last week that an 8.4 to 9% increase is projected for the medical plans, with a 3.8% for prescription plans for the active employees, and somewhere between a 3 and 7% increase for the medical and prescription plans for the retirees. So those are figures that we're starting to work with right now. Under miscellaneous, I do want to bring to the board's attention, we located 5 stock certificates. We were going through the safe at the solid waste division looking for titles for the equipment that we're selling. From Anchor Glass Container Corporation from 1998 and 2001. They were made out to the Sound County Improvement Authority. We did a QSIP number search on those certificates because of the fact they were Anchor Glass Container Corporation. And after conferring both with the auditor and the financial advisor, I am pleased to let you know that they're not worth anything, which is a very positive finding. Authorities cannot hold stock certificates. And we're not quite sure how, under prior administration, they came to be owned by us, with the exception of perhaps they were there for payment of some tipping fee during some bankruptcy transaction. There was only 13 shares, and they are of no value. I do have that in writing from our financial advisor. They are being put into a permanent file for record-keeping purposes, though. Okay.
Will it be coming live at a later date?
No, because it is Anchor Glass Container Corporation, and they've now been through 2 bankruptcies and are now owned by another corporation, they would not be of any value.
Maybe you saw them as wallpaper.
Yeah, we could make historical significance, I don't know. And just as a note too, policy and procedures manual is coming to a quick close. We're down to our internal policies are done. We're getting ready to package it up and send it out to our professionals to take a look at. Our risk manager, our attorney, and our insurance folks are going to take a look at that through us. And then the Improvement Authority Association that has been reformulated. Passaic County Improvement Authority Executive Director is the primary member. We are going to be working with ANJAC as a subsidiary organization to do some lobbying on our behalf for no additional cost. And I will be backing up the Passaic County Executive Director, followed by Mercer County. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
On upcoming meetings, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scheduled for executive and finance. Is that the budget?
No, those are just the regular weekly meetings. What we will do is I'll put out, Bob, a schedule of the budget work sessions. And
They have to be advertised.
if we have all 5 together, we've done it both ways, 2 different years. We had one Saturday morning meeting with the whole board. We've had other groups where we've just done 2, 2, and 1. So it's really the board's choice.
Just by the rules and regulations, it's a group involved.
Yeah. But we do the internal work ahead of time and then kind of present that and then go through all the line items. If you'd like to go through the line item budget. we do that.
Generally, we do a Saturday morning work session. We don't take any action. I believe is that how we do it.
Yes.
We roll up our sleeves and get the preliminary recommendations from the administration and get the hatchet out and scalpel.
We've done our own hatching.
Okay.
We have to check the handle on our hatchet also.
Yeah.
Flying
No,
off.
yeah, no duct tape.
Where are we at there? Okay, we're not gonna do that yet. Yeah, I'm just looking, okay. Okay, without objection, I'll receive the executive director report and file. Hearing no objection, so ordered. Next item is new business, and here we go to the corrective action. Where's that? There you go. Yeah, right there in front of me. Okay. You've heard the discussion on this corrective action program. I have an explanation of it. I'll entertain a motion to.
This is a
This
resolution.
is correcting numbers.
Resolution numbers from.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
During the May meeting, we initially started with the numbers 30 through 35. And in going back and looking through both the minutes and the resolutions, they should have been corrected to be resolutions 31 through 36.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, move second.
Second.
Move second. Any question on the motion? Move second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. We did that one time, remember? That was 2 years.
You say you took a couple months.
Okay. I'm looking correctly, I'm correcting action. Okay, first, I guess we're going to take the resolution of the Salem County Improvement Authority confirming the findings of the New Jersey Local Finance Board, which has to do with the bond action that we just saw. Basically, this was nothing, right?
Yeah, they had their meeting on June 12th. They placed this issue on the consent agenda, basically meaning that they accepted the application that we filed, and we did file the supplementary information that they wanted. They had no further questions, and they actually had no further recommendations for us relative to the bond deal. But it is a requirement of our transaction with them that we accept their.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
It's-
Question on the motion? Hearing no question, moving second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call.
John Eber,
Yes.
Ron Howard,
Yes.
Pete Burris,
Yes.
Bob Whitfield.
Yes.
Let the record show that one member was absent. Okay. Now, resolution accepting and acknowledging the audit report for 2012. Now, this will be about the David form. As a result of this resolution, then we
Then you'll sign it.
send.
The original one down there.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion made. Have a second?
Second. You said 2012?
It is the 2012 audit.
Yeah. Is this a roll call?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Roll call vote, please.
John Eber,
Yes.
Ron Howard,
Yes.
Pete Burris,
Yes.
Bob Whitfield.
Yes.
And let the record show that Bruce Snyder is absent, but he's obligated to sign and document that. Is that correct?
Yes, and he did review it when we had our meeting on the 15th. He had no further questions regarding the
I
audit,
signed
and he
it,
has
yeah.
signed it.
Okay. Okay, resolution accepting corrective action plan for the 2012 audit.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second, any question on the motion? Second, let me make a point that this is not required. We're doing this over and above the requirements of the statute and the regulations. So moving second, and all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, what's next?
It is already changed. Can you explain that?
Yeah,
For many years, what was formerly SCIA and then became SCIA has had a internal change fund at our solid waste division where we basically make change for the scale masters, and that has not been utilized for that purpose in the last 3 years. Right now, change is made basically on an individual drawer basis by taking a slip to the bank, because we have to go to the bank to do our deposits every day. So there's no further need for this internal change fund. There's $500 in it. We would like to just dissolve the fund. We've been through it with the auditors. They also recommend just running that back into the operating fund for the solid waste division.
I'll make that motion.
So, motion.
Move. Second. Move a second. Question on the motion.
Instead of giving change, you go to the bank and get change? It doesn't seem efficient.
They have to go to the bank every day anyway, and it's only made a day.
Or you got someone waiting for change?
No, they're not waiting for change.
So it's not a change box that's needed out there?
No, it's not.
So everybody goes around and say, everybody got $1? That's what happens in my house. If somebody pays something for $3,
Or I'll give you change.
give it to the guy.
I go to the bank, the bank from there is 10 miles away.
Yeah, no, we don't go to the bank that day. They just go to the bank every day. If somebody needs change, they get the change while they're there.
The scale master puts in his change order a day or two before he's actually gonna need it. So if he's working in the scale house on Wednesday, he'll put the change order in on Monday. So he has it in advance. And
So he
same for
knows-
Saturday.
He knows what.
He knows
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
coming
they
with a
know-
$50
they know what
bill,
they need.
and my bill's only 40?
And there was a problem with the change box?
The auditor's recommendation.
It hasn't
No, it's
been,
not a
haven't used
recommendation.
hasn't been
It's
touched
not a
by,
recommendation of the audit.
actually, it was a verbal recommendation by the auditor.
Didn't make it to
The
even the
the
findings
deal
list.
item, no. But they said if you're not touching that box in the last 3 years, you might as well just put the money back
Put
into
it in the same place.
All right, move to the second. Questions, and more questions, and more questions. Move to the second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Yeah, it's in the same.
Anybody saying aye?
Aye.
Thank you.
So if I come down there tomorrow with a $50 bill, my bill's only $40, got any problem? Gotta wait till tomorrow?
You can make change. Never had a problem with change.
Last time I sent my man down there, I sent him with
Got a credit card?
$50 they charged. I said, let's see how it goes through. I want to see it. Everything goes through. I had to pay the $2 or $3 they charged, right?
Yeah, there's a fee.
Yeah, it was a fee, yeah.
2.5%.
Yeah, it was like $3 or something. Okay. Change funds resolved. Resolution to cancel void checks.
I'll make that motion.
So the second question on the motion, I got a question, who are they? Where's the list?
There's an attachment to the resolution. There's 3 checks. One was to Pennsylvania National Bank, a check that we
Oh,
cut
good.
to deal with our safety deposit box, which had already been drilled, which we were not aware of till we went there. We have a lost check to MetLife that was from back in 2011, but we've since, that was for the nursing home division, closed that account, audited everything. We do not need to recut that check. And a return check from the city of Salem. This was for water and sewer bills for that nursing home.
Oh, yeah.
They billed us.
Yeah, then we did not.
Yeah, we paid it. They weren't certain if it should have been our bill or Golden's. They've resolved that issue. They returned the check to us.
The actual check,
Yes.
so they never deposited it.
They never deposited it. They held it.
So we were right.
We were right.
Yeah, remember that? I remember that. I was down there. Oh. All right, so, someone like to move the resolution? Someone did, second? Move the second. Question on the motion, hearing none. Move the second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. There we go, yeah. Okay, what else? We have no executive session, right? Oh, correspondence, I'm sorry. You've had an opportunity to review the correspondence. Any questions or actions? Hearing none, without objection, I'll order the correspondence received, properly filed. So ordered. Where we at? Correspondence is done, public comment. Anything else from the board? We're all, hearing none.
Where are we at on Debbie's grades?
Where we at on, we haven't discussed it.
Or can they set up for
Maybe what we should do is have a committee to discuss it. How about through the week, I'll come up with some committee ideas, I'll talk to all the members. Lou, Handy, where's he at?
He is in
And we'll be back in a day or two.
No, I have this time frame, I can send it to you.
Yeah.
The end of next week.
To the subcommittee to discuss that. Okay, without objection, we'll move that along. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to open the meeting to the public, general public.
So moved.
I'll second, second. There's aye. Anybody in the public have any questions? Start on my right. In the front. There you go. I knew that.
We took a little vote over here. My name's Ann Sullivan, I live in Mallory, I have a Liz Town address. I think I've got 5 questions. Number 1, I didn't hear the amount, or it might be resolution 1349. What was the amount of the solid waste division bills? I do have my ears fixed, but I'm not sure. Whether electronic or checks or whatever you got.
Checks are $309,279.63. Electronic payment, $112,174.84, and manual check of $1,028.99.
Runs to the state, thank you. Number 2, I think the executive director mentioned a search fee of $2,000. What is that? Or, pardon me, Chairman, who do I go, Kevin? The question was, I thought I heard, again, my hearing, I'm checking on my hearing, $2,000 search fee for your bookkeeper / CFO.
No, landfill supervisor position.
Okay,
It's
pardon me.
been posted in various publications.
But there's a did I hear something about a $2,000?
We have a budget of $2,000 for advertising that job.
That's what that is. Okay, so that was for the landfill job, not for the finance guy, finance
Correct.
position? Okay, okay, so let me follow-up question. So there's a $2,000 cap for the landfill job position.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Hopefully, we're advertising and we're assuming that it'll cost more than 2,000. I mean, who
You never
knows?
know.
Because that job is not going to be a job
It's a unique job.
that you're going to get someone responding to. You might, you might have to. If we don't get respondents first time around, we might have to advertise more.
Okay.
You don't go to college and get a degree to run the landfill. It's like,
Good statement.
well, you got to multitask, you have to have multi-degrees maybe, and have a big understanding of how to do stuff.
Okay, so it was a follow-up, that's the advertising for the landfill position job. Is there a budget? Maybe I don't have the 2013 budget in front of me. Is there a budget for advertising for the financial position job?
No, these are just basically personnel-related costs. They're not broken out by specific jobs. We didn't even know Lynn was going to retire when we put the 2013 budget together. So internally, out of the personnel and finance and human resources, we've taken a sub-element of that line item to dedicate toward the advertising for the job.
I think I got it. Thank you.
Paper advertising is not cheap anymore.
We're doing a lot online, which is cheap, but
Okay. Number 3, again, the nursing home, I believe, Executive Director mentioned all the money is available, that they're pretty sure you've got every single dime, and that's great that you got some money. Is there a percentage of that that's going to go to the county as the partial owner during the time of the, when these monies were received or duped out with Golden?
Well, I wonder, you're talking about 2 different items. You're talking about, these are private people who do pay the bills.
For many years,
Many
prior
years,
to
okay.
you, prior to SCIA
Yeah,
owning.
the old years statutes, limitations are gone, people are dead and gone. It's very late items. Insurance companies, for example, Habitat, what's the name of that organization? We collected something from, when people were dying, they.
Hospice.
Hospice of South Jersey.
My daughter worked for them, and I remember. So we did collect money from those various sources. It was all relatively new money, not money from, I mean, there was money back from the 80s to 90s. But no one ever chased it.
And the county still could, but I guess the statute of limitations.
Yeah, well, it didn't, and the people were dead, 10 years, hello. ask the banker how you do
I think that
that.
was sort of
You
question
go
to
ahead.
the county, does anything have to go to the county? That was your question.
Yeah, right.
Okay, my question I thought was, but again, you never know. I thought a couple months ago, they were doing some really good investigating work and finding, I thought there was a percentage of the funds that you
Okay,
had
no, what
received
you're,
that were
what you're
going
referring
toward the county.
to is it was an
income.
audit by Medicare, state Medicare, and so forth, and they said we owed them $400,000 or some number of that nature. We hired, or we had on hire an organization who audited that, who disputed it and had it reduced. That number is what roughly now?
The original adjustment is, originally was $269,557.56. It's now down to $133,883.83.
So
But that's a
was-
bill due to Golden, that's not money coming in.
that we owe Golden, because that money was withheld out of their funds from Medicare. Okay, so they said, and it was for audits back when the county, some of the time was when the county owned the nursing home, some of the time was when the improvement authority owned the nursing home. So it was a given date of August, I believe, middle of August,
August
15th.
14, whatever it was. So they sorted it out, county doesn't your bill, improvement authority doesn't our bill. But it was reduced dramatically from the original claim.
Okay, so I guess my original question still kind of stands, was any money that she has just, or the executive director, or the people that you hired for the various time that SCIA had it, and at the time when the county had it, I thought there was a little bit of a number, there was some more income coming in that wasn't going to be necessarily, no more money?
I think, Ann, what you're referring
I don't
to
have
is,
the
there was a
minutes.
Medicaid adjustment, which was a credit to us. That comes off of that figure that I gave you. That's
I thought
not
it was the
money
private
that
one.
came
I thought it
in.
was private something
This
else.
is money that they adjusted from a September bill that they went to.
Oh, look, I'm thinking, I thought it was something else, because I know you guys were working really hard. Again, and I thought it was the private pay thing. See, I don't think it was the Medicare thing. I thought there was
Well, yeah, there
more
was
money.
private
There was
pay, yeah,
private
we-
pay,
There's some private
but-
pays,
Yeah,
two different issues.
Yeah, two different things, but I thought it was the private pay one, that the county was still going to get a piece of it. They had done all the legwork, the improvement authority had done all the legwork to hustle all
Yeah.
these dead, and my parents died, and my family paid.
you're not gonna call them deadbeats.
Well, they were deadbeats, so I'm just saying, but they paid them. I didn't want to pay them, but they were dead, everyone else paid. But I thought there was some
Poor
money,
choice of word.
but I thought there was some money coming into the improvement
Not
authority.
really, not to my knowledge, so.
No more money
We'll give
coming
you an
in?
accounting when we do the closeout of everything that's come in and everything that was to be discharged,
Yeah.
that you'll have that accounting. But that was all given to
It
the
was
improvement
done.
authority in 11 when we sold the home,
Okay.
with a little bit in 12.
Okay, regarding the website, my last question, I know you guys are excited. Regarding the website, does the improvement authority owe the county any money for borrowed cables or et cetera? Or as I say, are we still on the tether, the little umbilical cord with the county, with the website?
Well, tomorrow or so, we should,
The county has nothing to do with our website. We
and
have
she's
a
talking
private-
about
We have a
the,
private host for our website.
she's
The
computer network?
internet, pardon me, the
The
IT.
computer
network,
The
yeah,
IT.
Is different. We do not owe them any money for the borrowed tethered cable.
Okay. So we're all in good standing with the county for the internet, or the IT work,
For the computer network,
for the computer network?
as far as I know.
Okay, because I thought they were billing. Was that last month that they
Yeah.
were billing?
yeah. Okay.
No.
We don't have a shared service agreement with the county any longer. We do not
Oh,
pay the bill.
okay.
That's what, okay.
Yeah.
So there was no signed service agreement. Okay,
All
that's
right,
okay.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, anybody else in the public? Yes, sir.
Yep, Tim Mangold from Mannington. I just had one note on something I saw on the agenda, that August 26th is going to be the annual reorganization meeting
It was supposed to be today?
today.
On the agenda?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a typo. I
Oh,
think.
my gosh.
Yes, I came for the
I'm
annual
sorry.
reorganization meeting today, too.
I usually wear
Thank
colder
you.
weather clothing.
I wanted to ask about that, but I was
Our
waiting.
regular meeting, thank you for picking that up.
It's for next week.
We've
Yeah,
only
next-
had 5 people look at this.
He was also in July's, too. I said, gee whiz, you bumped it till next month.
Okay, anybody else in the public? Hearing no one else in the public, entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Second.
And second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Public portion is closed. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved, second. We need a second for that. Need a second. All in favor signify.
Before you reorganize and Tim to get rid of that nursing home, just keep them out.
Can't get rid of it.